As if this game wasn't difficult enough from a flat lie. Oof. Whew. We also have to deal with sloping lies. Oh, come on. So in this mini-series, we're going to deal with all 4 sloping lies. For short and long game, looking at the adaptations in geometry, physics, and biomechanics to get you striking the ball pure, making the right club choices, and being able to control your distance and direction. Whew. I'm Andrew Cullen, and this is Golf Yourself. Let's talk about the geometry of a flat lie first of all, and then we can adapt that very easily to the uphill lie. So when I make my setup on the flat lie, the shoulders are parallel to the ground, the upper body is perpendicular to the ground. Now in reality, for the right hand golfer, the right hand's a little lower than the left, the shoulders are just off parallel, the spine is just off perpendicular, but for the sake of our understanding, let's think parallel and perpendicular to a flat lie. The physics of the exercise from a flat lie is also very simple. I have the manufactured loft of the club and the manufactured lie of the club, so I don't alter the club position, making it either more upright, which will tend to go left, or more flat, which will tend to go right. So I don't really have a problem with the physics from a flat lie. And the biomechanics, how the body is able to move on a flat lie, is also not restricted. I have freedom of movement on the backswing, freedom of movement on the downswing. So with the uphill lie, we need to get the geometry the same as the flat lie to get the club bottoming out in the right place. So I'm parallel to the slope with the shoulders or perpendicular to the slope with my upper body. And then depending on the severity of the slope, then the weight will be more to the right hand side for the right hand golfer, and the stance will get wider to be able to stay stable. So if we get the geometry right, and very importantly we keep the geometry from start to strike in the swing, then the club will bottom out in the right place. Often the mistake people make is actually getting good geometry in the start and then changing the geometry, and then we're in big trouble where the low point is, either moving behind or even more forward. Very difficult to get pure strikes when the geometry doesn't stay the same to the slope from start to strike. And the physics of the sloping lie obviously changes from what's the manufactured loft to standing with the slope and increasing the loft. So if the ball's going to go higher, it's not going to go as far. So we need to club down. I've got a 9-iron here. I'll need to club down to my 8-iron, maybe even my 7-iron to get the same distance because of the change in physics. There's no change to the lie angle, so there's no danger of going further left or further right, but we've changed the loft and need to adapt accordingly. And thirdly then, the biomechanics of the exercise, particularly if I'm on very severe slopes, I have no restriction on the backswing, but I got a big restriction on turning through and getting the weight left. And this is where you have to use your practice swing to see if the bottom of the arc of the swing changes because you can't move forward as well. So I'd make a very deliberate practice swing trying to hit the ground. I maybe see that the low point's a little bit further back than normal because I can't move forward. I put the ball slightly further back in the stance to guarantee me trying to get a better, purer strike of the golf ball because I can't move left and rotate as well. If you're enjoying this video as much as I'm enjoying walking downhill, remember to hit the like and subscribe button so I can bring you more educational and entertaining videos. So we're on a pretty steep uphill lie short game shot now. Geometry is the same, parallel or perpendicular. The physics of the exercise, I'm going to show you 2 different shots here. So my lob wedge at 58 degrees is going to become something like a 75 or 80 degrees. It's going to go very high. I'm going to need quite a lot of swing. But because we're making a relative short swing, we're not really restricted in the whole biomechanic exercise. So I'm going to go lob wedge first of all. I'll take a practice swing again to see if I need to adapt the ball position to where the low point is. Looks good. I'm going to have to make quite a big swing here with my 58 because it has so much loft on it. Not necessarily the wrong club, but the higher a ball goes, the more difficult it is to judge the distance. So I'm going to move down to my pitching wedge. So my 46 degrees is going to come something like my 58 degree, like a lob wedge, but I won't have to make as much swing here. Again, get my geometry right, make a practice swing to check where the low point is, just in case I need to adapt it. All right, so we're just going to make a shorter swing, much easier to stay stable from start to strike. Both results pretty good, so you can't say it's a wrong club and a right club, but you just have to adapt your club choice because of the loft difference. Check out my other sloping lies videos here. In the meantime, let's get some practice around the greens and become masters of the slopes. Ooh, that's aggressive. Go on, baby. You know, in most sports, downhill is exhilarating. Shit. Yeah, but in golf, it can be downright frustrating. So in this video, we're going to talk about the geometry, the physics, and the biomechanics of the downhill lie for both long game and short game to get you puring the strike, making the right club choices, and controlling your distance and direction. I'm Andrew Cullen, and this is Golf Yourself to Life. Woohoo! So let's look at the geometry of the exercise first to a flat lie and then to a downhill lie. So on a flat lie, I'm trying to get my shoulders parallel to the ground, or think about my upper body perpendicular to the ground. And if I maintain that relationship, then I'm going to bottom out in the right place. So we need to get the geometry the same for the downhill lie. I need my shoulders to be parallel to the ground, or my upper body perpendicular to the ground, that again keeping the low point in the right place. And where the big mistakes, particularly with downhill lie, are in not maintaining the geometry from start to strike. So if we're thinking perpendicular and I move off perpendicular, I'm in big trouble. I'm going to get the low point in the wrong place. So very important from the geometry of the exercise of downhill lie: perpendicular at the start, perpendicular at the backswing, perpendicular to strike, and then I'm going to strike the ball well. Let's find out. So go with the slope, stay with the slope. Yes, is really the thought process. And the physics of the exercise is fairly straightforward. So my 7-iron here with its manufactured loft will send the ball off on this trajectory. And when I go with the downhill slope, we're obviously de-lofting the club. Depends on the severity of the slope, but right here I'm de-lofting down to a sort of 6-iron or 5-iron. So I'm definitely going to get a lower ball flight. I'm definitely going to get more run out if I'm trying to land it on the green from there. And I have to take these things into account, trajectory and distance and roll, in deciding which club I'm going to use. And the biomechanics of the downhill lie are often not taken into account, how free I am able to move on the backswing and downswing. So on the flat lie, I'm obviously not restricted either on the backswing movement or on the downswing movement. Pure. But on the downhill lie, because of the width of stance, because of this orientation to the slope, if I stay in geometry, which is the aim of the game, then I can't make such a big backswing. I'm restricted in the amount of rotation. And if I'm restricted in the backswing, I can't generate the same speed on the way through. So that again affects your club choice for the shot, particularly as we go steeper and steeper. So we get the geometry right, we stay with the slope, we make the best backswing we can, and then we're not restricted on the follow through down the slope, only on the backswing. If you're enjoying watching me hit horrendously difficult golf shots in rapidly deteriorating weather conditions, then the least you can do is hit the subscribe button and the like button to help me make more fun, entertaining and educational videos. Okay, for the short game, bit of a shocker here downhill. I'm going to show you two shots, one with just a normal square club face and a lob wedge, and then we're going to open the club face up to try and get the ball going a little higher and stopping a little quicker from this very difficult lie. So, geometry first. I got to go with the slope and I got to stay with the slope. Then again, the club's going to bottom out in the right place. The physics of the exercise, we're turning the lob wedge more or less into a pitching wedge, or even 9 iron, so I got to get one bounce in the fringe to help it put the brakes on before it gets to the hole. Biomechanics in short game, we're not really restricted in the freedom of movement because it's very much upper body and nothing much to do with the lower body. Alright, so here we go. So lob wedge, go with the slope, stay with the slope. My lob wedge is going to go low and run out, so one bounce in the fringe. Yep, should be pretty good. Let it run out from there. Right, green's not quite as quick as I thought it was, but using the fringe to put the brakes on from this de-lofted position where the ball's going to run out more. Okay, so extreme lie short game, we maybe need to open up the club face to get a little more loft. So I'm going to change my 58 degrees to something like a 64 degrees. But again, when I take my geometry position, we're going to reduce that back down again. So we might need that extra loft. So the way we do it, obviously that's me facing at the target. I open up the club face is going to be pointing the wrong way. So I have to adapt my position until the club face again is looking towards where I went to send the ball with that increase in loft. So just to give you a clearer view, standard loft and direction, opening the club face up, club face is pointing the wrong way, compensate with my body position, club face is now pointing the right way, so we should send the ball off a little higher and in the right direction. There we go. Easy. Alright, so I've opened the club face up, get it pointing the right way, so I'm aiming left, club face is pointing to my chosen target. I can land the ball on the green now, the physics has changed, I got more loft, I can land the ball on the green, it's going to roll out less, so I can be a little more aggressive, get the landing point a little further. Geometry the same, physics the same, biomechanics the same, little more swing, follow the slope, landed directly on the green. Again, I've overestimated the speed of the green. Almost a gimme. If you missed my other sloping lies videos, check this video here. In the meantime, get practicing on the slopes and see you real soon. Shit. Oh, no, not left. No.
Hard base.
Here we go. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's right, Dan Starkey. Love me. Woo. When the ball's lying above your feet and you're looking for a pure strike. Shit. And you're also trying to hit it in the right direction. Oh, no, not left. No. Ah, dear. Then you need to understand the influences of the geometry, the physics, and the biomechanics of this sloping lie. The major problem here is that relative to a flat lie, we're basically standing like, sure, Mikey. Exactly. So you need to adapt a little to get you mastering the ball above your feet lie. Woo. I'm Andrew Cullen, and this is Golf Yourself to Life. Alright, let's deal with the geometry of the exercise first. Basically, if I was to take my normal posture position, relative to the ground, I'm in my Michael Jackson. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get very steep relative to the ground and a big chance of chunking into the ground. So I need to get a slightly more upright posture which flattens out the swing so I'm able to get more of a clean strike on the ball. And secondly, and particularly when the ball's quite extreme above your feet, we need to grip down the club a little bit, shorten the club. If we take the full length of the club, again, we're liable to chunk into the ground from there. So we need to get these two geometric adaptations to be able to get pure strikes. Slightly more upright, grip down the club a little bit, and then we should be able to get a pure strike onto the golf ball. Oh yes. Now, the physics of the exercise is extremely important to understand. Basically on this lie, we're changing the manufactured lie of the club to a much more upright lie, and that changes the spin bias of the club. So when it's lying on a flat lie, hopefully we've got straight shots, only backspin, no side spin, and as we go more and more upright, we tend to put left spin bias on the ball. So any of you who have these adaptable drivers, moving it on to draw spin actually just moves the club more upright. Sometimes it closes the face as well, but it makes the club more upright. So we have a tendency for spin bias left, and we have to allow for that from this lie. So as I'm going more upright in my stance and shortening the grip, the lie of the club is getting more upright. I'm going to put more and more left spin on the ball as it goes more and more steep. The ball is more extreme above my feet, and I need to account for that in the draw spin, obviously by aiming to the right hand side. And you just have to go and experiment with that with different clubs and different lies to see how much you need to account for that little hook shot. And thirdly then, the biomechanics of the exercise. Am I restricted in my movement either on the backswing or the downswing with the ball above my feet? Not really. I've got free movement on the backswing, free movement off the downswing, very different when the ball's below your feet, but above the feet I'm not really restricted. So I can move both ways. Because I'm gripping down the club, I'm not going to generate the same radius, generate the same speed. So for a normal 7-iron distance, say, we might have to move up to a 6-iron because we're shortening the club. But the mechanics of the swing can still function well from this lie. Yep. Just a quick interlude here. I want to show you a very quick and very fun exercise practice to help you understand what you've got to do to strike the ball more pure from this slightly tricky ball above the feet lie. Now, first things first, we've got to come very early in the morning to the driving range when there's absolutely nobody here, for reasons that will become abundantly clear in the following seconds. What you need is your driver, you need an old shaft, and you need to stick a tee in the end of the shaft. So this little trick shot we used to do for our clients. We used to do a few shows. We stick the old shaft in the ground, so it acts as this elevated position, ball above your feet. And what you'll quickly learn here is if you're coming from above and down or outside and down, there's no way you're going to strike this ball properly. So on the above your ball, a ball above your feet position, we would just chunk into the ground. So here's the wrong one where I'm going to come this way. We'll just go underneath the ball, probably just hit the shaft. Sometimes the ball goes backwards, which is why you got to come here very early in the morning so there's nobody here. And if anybody sees you doing this, they're going to think you've absolutely lost it. Now, Andrew, he used to be such a calm guy, had a beautiful rhythm to his swing. Now he just comes here early in the morning, breaks everything. All in the name of progress. All right, so the only way we're going to get this ball flying is by coming underneath and up. It's also going to help you slicers start to understand how we get the club working from inside to strike the ball more effectively, efficiently. We're on a very upright lie here, so the spin bias is really going to work and hook the ball off to the left-hand side. All right, under and up, under and up. Here we go. Woo! High ball flight, little bit of draw, whole lot of fun. If you're enjoying, much more importantly, getting value from watching this video, oh come on, then please subscribe and like me, oh love me. Alright, so let's put that fun trick shot into action, where almost the feeling of coming underneath and up as you're swinging through. Any steepness, any swing from outside, we're just gonna chunk it. Okay, so imagine the ball's teed up. I'm trying to get from underneath it and up. Here we go. Oh yes, oh yes, that's right down the target. Woo! Okay, so let's apply what we know from the long game to the short game. I got a little approach shot here. We got 33 meters to the front edge, 34 from here, be 33 at my ball. The flag is only 2 or 3 meters on the green, so I'm just trying to land it on the fringe, let it bump out a little bit. So that we apply the same principles, the geometry. I'm more upright, I'm gripping down the club. Again, shortening the club will reduce the speed, so I need to make a little more swing than I would than if I was on a flat lie using the full length of the club. The physics of the exercise, we don't have to worry too much about that. We're not going to put much draw spin on the ball from here. So let's just try and fix on your landing point as you would normally from a flat lie. Biomechanics, not restricted. And we want to play your little trick shot here, the feeling of coming under and up to strike the ball properly. Also helps from this short distance, keep the loft on the golf club. All right, here we go. Just trying to land it on the front edge. It's looking good. Little bump. On you pop, running out, down towards the flag. Woo! Take it from there. The ball below your feet lie is arguably the most difficult of all the sloping lies on the golf course. Because it screws with your posture position. It affects your directional control. And it's very difficult to make a powerful body movement in both directions with this awkward posture position. So in this video, we're going to learn how to master this nasty little monster of a golf shot. I'm Andrew Cullen, and this is Golf Yourself to Life. So let's deal with the full swing first, and then later in the video we'll show you how we need to adapt the short game. Geometry first. We've got to get the posture in a position where we're still able to strike the ball. Obviously, if I don't change anything, I'm never going to come down to the height of the ball. So I need to get myself down to the ball. And the way to do it is to try and get your lower half sitting back and down and not alter your upper half too much. So I can still make a powerful movement as much as I can with the upper body. I won't be able to make it much of a hip turn in both directions with the lower body, but at least I can do something upstairs. If I only go with the upper body down, it's very difficult to make a turning motion, and I'm liable to get very steep in my approach into the ball. So posture first, we got to sit back to help your balance. We got to sit down to get to the height of the ball, and then we have a chance of striking the ball pure. Yeah. Oh yeah, pure. Nice. Okay, physics next. Because I'm slightly closer to the ball and my hands are in a higher position than a normal posture, I'm changing the lie of the club to slightly more flat. So we're going from the normal lie, straight flight, hopefully, when everything else in the swing is correct, to a slightly more flat lie, which changes the spin axis and will tend to get a little bit of right spin on the ball. Again, upright lie will tend to hit it left. Standard, straight, flat, a little bit right. So we have to account for that in your alignment. We have to take the physics into account. And normally we would say, we're going to look at the biomechanics first. Normally we would say, right, let's aim a little bit left to compensate for the tendency to have right spin bias on the ball. And now the biomechanics. This is the most problematic part of this swing. Because I'm in this lower posture position, it's much more difficult to make a rotation of the body in both directions. The lower half is not going to come much with me. I can turn to about there and still control my posture. If I try and go further, I'm just going to stand out of my posture, making it even more difficult to get a strike on the ball. So I'm restricted. Backswing and downswing, and because it's restricted to very much upper body and arms, the tendency is to pull the ball off to the left hand side for the right hand golfer. So although we've got tendency right spin bias with the physics of the exercise, we've got tendency left pull because of the restriction in the lower half body turn. So the trick really here is make some practice swings, find out where the low point of the swing is, and make sure the ball's opposite that point. Because if we go slightly further left of that point for the right hand golfer, we're definitely going to pull the ball over to the left. All right, so it depends on the severity of the slope, what you can do for a turn, but make a few practice swings. Notice where you hit the ground. It's probably going to be further back than normal because we can't get the lower half moving as well. So I compensate for that. I pop the ball back in the stance. I aim slightly left for the spin bias, and I do what I can as far as the turning motion is concerned with this restricted biomechanics. That one's just gone straight and a very little bit of right spin bias just towards the end. But you just do what you can, find out where the low point is in your practice swing beforehand. If you're enjoying watching and learning how to play horrendously difficult golf shots around the golf course, then remember to hit the subscribe and like button. Oh, gotta like that. Come on. Okay, so let's apply what we know to the short game. Awkward little shot here. Ball's well below my feet. Priority number one, geometry. We're not really too worried about the physics. It's difficult to put a lot of side spin on the ball from this short shot. I'm anyway only going to use my upper body to make this move for this short approach shot, so the restriction is not too much of a theme, but I have to get down to the ball and stay down. Often the mistake with this shot is just coming out of it a little early, topping the ball in the bunker or even in the water over the other side. Right, I've short-sighted myself here as well. We're going to need to bounce it in the fringe to try and get the brakes on, but it's get down, stay down is really the trick here. All right, here we go. Try and land it in the fringe, get the geometry right. So I'm sitting back, sitting down. Should be good. Land it in the front. Oh, beautiful. Braking stop. That'll do it. Ooh, nearly. All right. Get down. Stay down for beautiful short game strikes.